The mining station floated silently in the cold darkness of space, its crystal walls catching the distant light from the gas giant below. Commander Hannah sat at her control desk, watching the green dots move across her screen. It was another quiet day in the Kepler system, just like all the others. Then something appeared on her scanner that made her sit up straight. A small object was tumbling through space, moving fast and spinning wildly. She pressed some buttons to get a better look. "What is that thing?" she whispered to herself. The object was damaged and leaking air. As she watched, she realized it was an escape pod. Someone was inside, and they were in serious trouble. Hannah quickly pressed the emergency button on her desk. A soft musical sound filled the station, calling everyone to the main room. The other Zephyrians came floating through the crystal hallways, their bodies glowing softly like living gemstones. Elder Moran arrived first. He was the oldest and wisest of their people, and his crystal body sparkled with many colors. "What is wrong, Hannah?" he asked, his voice sounding like wind chimes. "There is a damaged pod out there," Hannah said, pointing at her screen. "Someone needs help." All the Zephyrians gathered around to look. Their bodies hummed with worry as they saw the spinning pod getting smaller and smaller as it drifted away. "We must help them," said Arya, the youngest scientist on the station. Her crystal form glowed bright blue with excitement. But Elder Moran shook his head slowly. "We do not know what kind of being is in that pod. It could be dangerous. Our people have rules about meeting new creatures from other worlds. But they will die if we do nothing," Arya argued. Her light grew brighter as she got more upset. The other Zephyrians began to hum and sing, which was how they talked when they had to make important decisions. Some sang high notes that meant they wanted to help. Others sang low notes that meant they were scared. Hannah looked at the screen again. The pod was getting farther away every second. Soon it would be too late to save whoever was inside. "I am going to bring them in," she announced. Elder Moran's colors changed to deep red, which meant he was very worried. "Hannah, this goes against our oldest laws. We do not interfere with other species." "Then maybe our laws are wrong," Hannah said quietly. The room became very still. No Zephyrian had ever said such a thing before. Arya moved closer to Hannah. "I agree with her. If we can save a life, we should save it. That is more important than any rule." Slowly, other young Zephyrians began to glow brighter, showing they agreed too. The older ones flickered with uncertain colors. Elder Moran was quiet for a long time. Finally, he sighed, and his body turned a soft yellow color. "Very well, but we must be very careful. Bring the pod to the outer bay, not into the main station." Hannah smiled and quickly started working at her controls. She sent out a tractor beam that grabbed the spinning pod and slowly pulled it toward their station. It took almost an hour to bring it in safely. When the pod door opened with a loud hiss, steam poured out. Inside was a creature unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. It had soft skin instead of crystal, and hair on its head. It was wearing strange clothes and was not moving. "Is it dead?" whispered one of the younger Zephyrians. Arya carefully scanned the creature with her instruments. "No, but it is very hurt. It has a heartbeat, but it is very weak." She found a small card in the creature's pocket. The writing was in symbols they had never seen before, but their computers were able to translate it. "Its name is June Park," Arya read. "It says here that he is something called a human, from a planet called Earth. He studies other life forms." Elder Moran moved closer to look at the unconscious human. "So this is what a human looks like. I have heard stories about their kind, but I never thought I would see one. Can we heal him?" Hannah asked. Arya ran more scans. "I think so. His body works differently than ours, but our healing crystals might help. We would need to be very gentle." The Zephyrians spent the next hour preparing their medical bay. They arranged their healing crystals in special patterns and filled the air with soft, healing music. When they placed June on the medical table, The crystals began to glow. The human's breathing became stronger, and some of his wounds began to close. He will live, Arya said with relief. Elder Miran watched the human sleep. What have we done? He wondered aloud. This creature is so different from us. What if helping him brings trouble to our people? Then we will face that trouble together, Hannah said firmly. But I believe we did the right thing. As the human slept, the Zephyrians took turns watching over him. None of them knew that this one act of kindness would change everything for both their species. They had saved a stranger, not knowing that someday his people would return that kindness 1,000 times over. The gas giant continued to spin below their station, and the stars watched silently as two very different worlds came together for the first time. 3 weeks had passed since they brought the human aboard. June Park had woken up 5 days after his rescue, confused and afraid. When he first saw the Zephyrians, he had tried to back away, his eyes wide with shock. But Hannah had spoken to him in gentle tones, even though he could not understand their musical language. The biggest problem was talking to each other. The Zephyrians spoke by making beautiful sounds like singing, while June used harsh, choppy words that hurt their sensitive ears. When he tried to copy their musical speech, awful screeching noises came out that made all the crystals on the station shake. "This is impossible," June said one morning, holding his head in his hands. "How can I learn to talk like music?" Hannah sat across from him in the common room, her crystal body glowing soft green with patience. She had been trying to teach him their language every day. "Think of each word as a note," she explained slowly, in the few human words she had learned. "Not just sound, feeling too." June tried again, but his attempt at saying thank you sounded more like a broken machine. Several young Zephyrians nearby flickered with colors that meant they were trying not to laugh. "I sound terrible," June said, frustrated. "Yes," Hannah agreed honestly, which made June laugh, despite his embarrassment. But slowly, things began to change. June learned that the Zephyrians did not just talk with sounds. Their bodies also changed colors to show feelings. Red meant anger or worry, blue meant happiness, yellow meant curiosity, and purple meant sadness. By watching their colors, he could understand them better even when he could not understand their words. The Zephyrians were also learning about humans. They were amazed that June needed to eat solid food instead of absorbing energy from light. They watched in fascination as he prepared his meals, heating water and mixing strange powders. "Your body is so complicated," Arya observed, her form shifting to bright yellow with curiosity. "We just need sunlight and minerals from the rocks." "Your way sounds much easier," June replied, taking a bite of his rehydrated pasta. The real breakthrough came when the station's main mining laser broke down. The Zephyrians had been using this laser for hundreds of years to cut precious crystals from asteroids. Without it, their entire operation would shut down. Elder Miran and the other engineers stood around the massive machine, their bodies flickering with worried red colors. The problem was in the focusing crystal, which had developed a crack that scattered the laser beam in all directions. June had been watching them work for hours. Finally, he approached the group. "May I look?" he asked in his still terrible Zephyrian. The engineers stepped back, unsure. Humans were not supposed to understand their technology. But June studied the broken crystal with his engineer's eye. "The crack is spreading because the crystal expands when it heats up," he explained to Arya, who translated for the others. "On my world, we solve this problem by adding flexible joints that can bend without breaking." The Zephyrians had never thought of this. Their crystals were perfect and pure, but that also made them brittle. June showed them how to insert thin metal strips that would bend when the crystal expanded, keeping the cracks from spreading. It worked perfectly. The laser came back online, stronger than before. Elder Miran's entire body glowed with amazement. "How did you think of this?" he asked, through Arya. "Human things break all the time," June said with a smile. "We get good at fixing them." After that day, everything changed. The Zephyrians began asking June for advice on their machines. He showed them new ways to arrange their equipment and how to make backup systems that would keep working even if something broke. In return, they taught him about their culture. He learned that they meditated by creating harmony with their voices, and that they made decisions by singing together until all their voices blended into one beautiful sound. He discovered that each Zephyrian was born from a crystal seed and grew slowly over hundreds of years. "We live much longer than humans," Hannah explained one evening as they watched the gas giant rise over the station's horizon. "But you accomplished so much in your short lives. It is remarkable." June had been learning to appreciate the Zephyrian way of thinking too. They were patient and careful, considering every decision from all possible angles. They never rushed or got angry, and they treated every living thing with respect. "Your people are very wise," he told her. "Sometimes I think humans could learn a lot from The young Zephyrians especially enjoyed spending time with June. They loved hearing stories about Earth, about oceans full of water, and trees that grew from soil instead of crystal. They laughed when he described human customs like birthday parties and sports games. "Humans chase a ball around and call it fun," asked one young Zephyrian, his body sparkling with amusement. "When you put it that way, it does sound silly," June admitted. As the weeks passed, June found himself thinking of the station as home. The Zephyrians no longer seemed strange to him. Their musical voices became familiar and comforting. Their patient, thoughtful ways began to influence how he approached problems. He had stopped thinking about leaving. These gentle, wise beings had become his family, and he had become theirs. None of them knew that this peaceful time was about to end, and that the real test of their friendship was approaching fast. The alarm shattered the peaceful morning like broken glass. June had been eating breakfast with Arya when the terrible sound filled every corner of the station. He had never heard this alarm before, but the way all the Zephyrians immediately turned deep red told him it meant serious danger. Hannah rushed into the dining hall, her crystal body flashing with urgent colors. "6 ships just appeared," she said quickly. "Big ones. They are not answering our greeting calls." Everyone hurried to the main control room. On the large screen, June could see 6 massive black ships surrounding their small station. The ships looked like giant metal sharks, covered in weapons and armor. They were nothing like the peaceful vessels that sometimes visited the mining station. "Pirates," June whispered, his stomach dropping. He recognized the design from the attack on his own research ship weeks ago. Elder Moran's voice was shaking as he tried to contact the ships. "Unknown vessels. This is mining station Resonant Echo. Please state your purpose." The answer came back harsh and cold. "We are the Hegemony Reapers. We know you have a human on that station. Give him to us, and we might let some of you crystal freaks live." The control room fell silent, except for the humming of frightened Zephyrians. June felt sick as he realized the truth. These pirates had followed the trail from his destroyed ship. They had found this peaceful place because of him. "How did they track you here?" Hannah asked quietly. "My escape pod must have left an energy trail," June said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I led them right to you." The pirate captain spoke, again over the radio. "You have 10 minutes to send the human over in a shuttle. If you refuse, we will blast your pretty crystal station into dust. We have done this to 12 other systems. Your choice." Elder Moran looked around at his people. The Zephyrians had never faced anything like this before. They had no weapons, no military training. Their entire culture was built on peace and understanding. They solved problems by talking and singing together, not by fighting. "What do we do?" asked one of the younger Zephyrians, her light flickering with terror. June stood up slowly. His chest felt heavy, but he knew what he had to do. "I have to go with them. This is my fault. I will not let you all die because of me." But before he could take another step, Hannah moved in front of him. Her crystal body blazed with bright white light, brighter than he had ever seen any Zephyrian glow. "No," she said firmly. "You are family now. We do not give family to monsters." "But they will kill everyone," June protested. "Look around you. You have no weapons. You cannot fight them." Arya joined Hannah, her own light growing strong. "She is right. You are our Kethmarin now." June frowned. He had never heard that word before. "What does that mean?" "Family of choice," Elder Miran explained, his old voice carrying new strength. "When someone is not born to us but becomes part of us anyway. It is our most sacred bond." One by one, the other Zephyrians began to glow brighter. Even the youngest ones and the most frightened ones stood tall and let their light shine. Soon the entire control room was filled with brilliant, defiant light. "This is crazy," June said, tears forming in his eyes. "You barely know me. I am just some human who crashed here by accident." "You fixed our machines when they broke," said one engineer. "You told us stories that made us laugh," added a young Zephyrian. "You learned our songs even though they hurt your throat," said another. "You stayed and helped us when you could have asked to leave," Hannah said softly. "That is what family does." The pirate captain's voice crackled over the radio again, angrier now. "5 minutes left, crystal freaks. Send us the human or watch your station burn." Elder Miran moved to the communications panel. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. "This is Elder Miran. The human you seek is under our protection. He is family. We will not surrender him." Harsh laughter came from the speakers. "Family? You stupid rocks think a human is your family. Fine, we will take him from your dead station." The screen showed the pirate ships moving closer, their weapons charging with deadly red light. June could see smaller fighter ships launching from the big vessels. "You have made a terrible mistake," June told the Zephyrians. "These pirates destroy entire worlds. They killed thousands of people on my research ship just for fun. Then we will face them together," Elder Miran said simply. "But you will all die for nothing." Hannah took his hand in her crystal fingers. They felt warm and smooth. Not for nothing, for family, for the idea that some things are worth dying for. June looked around at all the glowing faces surrounding him. These gentle beings who had never hurt anyone in their long lives were willing to fight impossible odds to protect him. Not because he was human, not because he was useful, but because they had chosen to love him. The pirate ships were almost close enough to start shooting. In minutes, this beautiful crystal station would be nothing but debris floating in space. But as June watched his Zephyrian family prepare to defend him with their lives, he realized he had never felt more honored, or more terrified. The first pirate boarding pods slammed into the station's outer hull, with loud metallic crashes. June felt the whole structure shake, as the pirates began cutting through the crystal walls with laser torches. Red warning lights flashed everywhere, and the beautiful harmonic sounds of the station were replaced by harsh alarms. "How long until they break through?" Elder Miran asked, his crystal body flickering between red and yellow with fear and worry. "Maybe 20 minutes, Hannah replied, checking her instruments. "The outer hull is thick, but their cutters are powerful." June was already running toward the communication center. "I need to send a message," he called over his shoulder. "There might be a way to get help." "Help from where?" Arya asked, following him. "We are days away from any other civilization." "From Earth," June said, working frantically at the communication panel. "My people have faster ships than anyone thinks." The Zephyrians watched as June connected their crystal communication network to his own equipment. His hands moved quickly, typing codes and adjusting frequencies. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he worked. "There," he said finally. "I am using your quantum crystals to boost the signal. It should reach the nearest human." "Patrol ship instantly." He pressed the transmission button and spoke quickly into the microphone. "This is Dr. June Park, ID number 7749 Alpha. Emergency distress call. I am on a Zephyrian mining station in the Kepler 442 system. Peaceful aliens have given me sanctuary and are now under attack by hegemony reapers. 6 warships. They chose to protect me instead of surrendering me. They call me family. Please help them. Coordinates follow. The message shot out through space, carried by the strange quantum properties of Zephyrian crystals. June had no way of knowing if anyone would receive it, or if help would come in time. Another crash shook the station, as more boarding pods attached themselves to the hull. The pirates were cutting through faster now. "What do we do while we wait?" asked one of the younger Zephyrians. June looked around at his crystal family. None of them had ever been in a fight before. They did not even understand the concept of violence. But he could not let them just wait helplessly. "We need to slow them down," he said. "Do you have any tools we can use to block the hallways?" "We have mining equipment," Hannah suggested. "Heavy crystal cutters and transport sleds." "Perfect. We can use those to create barriers. Make them work harder to reach the main station." The Zephyrians quickly organized themselves. Even though they were terrified, they worked together with the same harmony they used for everything else. They moved heavy equipment into the outer corridors and sealed off sections of the station. June showed them how to create choke points, where the pirates would have to come through narrow spaces, one at a time. It was not much, but it would buy them precious minutes. "Why are you helping us plan this?" Elder Miron asked, as they worked. "You could hide in the center of the station, where it is safer." "Because you are my family too," June replied without hesitation. Far away in space, Admiral Minho Lee was drinking coffee on the bridge of his battleship when the emergency message arrived. The communication officer, a young woman named Lieutenant Sue, turned to him with wide eyes. "Sir, we just received a priority distress call from Dr. June Park." Admiral Lee knew that name. Dr. Park was one of their best xenobiologists. Lost weeks ago when pirates attacked his research ship. Everyone had assumed he was dead. "Play the message," the Admiral ordered, as he listened to June's desperate words. Admiral Lee felt his anger growing. Not only was Dr. Park alive, but peaceful aliens had saved him and were now dying to protect him. "How far are we from Kepler 442? he asked. 14 hours at maximum speed, sir." "Too long." Admiral Lee pressed his communication button. "This is Admiral Lee, to all ships in the Kepler sector. Emergency jump to coordinates 442 Alphizin. A human citizen is under alien protection and facing pirate attack. All available vessels respond immediately." Within minutes, reports came in from across the sector. The battleship Soul's Pride, the destroyer Bison's Hammer, the cruiser Dagu's Shield, and 20 smaller ships, all acknowledged the order. "Sir," Lieutenant Sue said quietly, "that is a lot of firepower for one rescue mission." Admiral Lee's expression was grim. "Lieutenant, when someone protects one of ours, they become family too, and nobody threatens our family." Back on the mining station, the first pirates finally broke through the outer barriers. June could hear their harsh voices echoing through the crystal corridors as they searched for him. "Human," one of them shouted. "Come out now, and we will make your crystal friends. Death's quick." The Zephyrians gathered in the main chamber, their bodies glowing with determination. They sang softly together, creating a harmony that filled the room with peace even as death approached. June stood with them, holding hands with Hannah and Arya. If these were his last moments, at least he would spend them with family. "Do you think your message got through?" Hannah asked quietly. June squeezed her crystal hand. "I do not know, but if it did, my people will come. That is what humans do for family." The pirate voices were getting closer. Soon they would break into the main chamber. But somewhere in the darkness of space, human ships were racing toward them at impossible speeds, bringing the fury of Earth itself. The pirate captain stood in the main chamber of the crystal station, his weapon pointed at the glowing Zephyrians. His name was Vex Murdoch, and he had destroyed dozens of peaceful worlds in his career. To him, this was just another easy job. "So, these are the crystal freaks who think they can protect humans," He laughed, his voice echoing off the beautiful walls. "Where is Dr. June Park? Bring him to me now, or I start shooting your pretty friends one by one." Elder Miron stepped forward, his ancient crystal body blazing with defiant light. "He is our family. We will not surrender him to murderers like you." Vex raised his laser rifle. "Wrong answer, old crystal." But before he could pull the trigger, his communication device crackled to life. "Captain Morduck, we have a problem," came the panicked voice of his ship's officer. "Multiple contacts just appeared on our sensors." "What kind of contacts?" Vex demanded, keeping his weapon trained on the Zephyrian ships. "Sir, lots of ships. They just dropped out of hyperspace all around us." Vex felt his first moment of worry. "How many ships?" 37, sir. Big ones. They are not answering our calls." Suddenly, a new voice filled the chamber, broadcast from the unknown fleet. It was calm and cold, speaking perfect English. "This is Admiral Minho Lee of the Terran Defense Fleet. You have attacked beings under Earth's protection. You have exactly 60 seconds to surrender, or we will show you what happens when you threaten our family." Vex's face went pale. He had heard stories about human military ships, but he had never believed them. Humans were supposed to be weak, disorganized. They could not possibly have tracked him here so quickly. "This is Captain Vex Murdoch, of the Hegemony Reapers," he broadcasts back. "We claim salvage rights on this station. These crystals attacked us first." Admiral Lee's response was immediate and final. "Lie detected. You have 50 seconds to surrender. This is your only warning." Through the station's windows, everyone could now see the human fleet. The ships were massive, sleek, and deadly looking. They moved with perfect coordination, surrounding the pirate vessels like wolves circling prey. June felt tears in his eyes as he recognized the lead ship. It was the Soul's Pride, the most powerful battleship in the human fleet. They had actually come. His people had crossed impossible distances to save a station full of aliens they had never met. "You think your little fleet scares me?" Vex shouted into his communicator. "We have been raiding this sector for years. No one can stop the Hegemony Reapers." 30 seconds, came Admiral Lee's calm reply. Vex grabbed June by the arm and pressed his weapon to the human's head. "Listen to me, Admiral. I have your man right here. If you attack, he dies first." The Zephyrians gasped in harmony, their lights flickering with fear. But June looked directly at Vex and smiled. "You made a big mistake," June said quietly. "What mistake?" Vex demanded. "You hurt my family." Admiral Lee's voice filled the chamber one last time. "Time's up. All ships, engage. Show them what Earth thinks of people who threaten our family." What happened next was not a battle. It was a demonstration. The human ships opened fire with weapons that turned space itself into a web of deadly light. The pirate vessels tried to run, but human ships were faster. They tried to fight back, but human shields were stronger. They tried to hide behind asteroids, but human sensors could see through solid rock in less than 10 minutes. The entire Hegemony Reaper fleet was either destroyed or disabled. Captain Vex could only watch through the station windows as his life's work burned in the vacuum of space. "Impossible," he whispered. "How did they get so powerful?" June gently took the weapon from Vex's shaking hands. The pirate was too shocked to resist. "We learned from friends like these," he said, gesturing to the Zephyrians. "They taught us that some things are worth fighting for." Human Marines boarded the station within the hour. They were efficient and professional, securing the pirates and checking on the Zephyrians with surprising gentleness. Admiral Lee himself came aboard to meet with Elder Moran. He was a tall man with kind eyes and a firm handshake. "Thank you for protecting our citizen," he said formally to the Zephyrian leader. "Earth will not forget this kindness." "He is family now," Elder Miron replied through Arya's translation. "Family protects family." The Admiral smiled. "Exactly. which is why we would like to offer you a formal alliance. Anyone who stands with humanity will always have our protection." Over the following months, the human fleet did not stop with just rescuing the mining station. They systematically hunted down every remaining hegemony Reaper cell across 3 star systems. They freed dozens of enslaved worlds and dismantled the entire pirate network that had terrorized the sector for decades. Earth established the Terran Protection Compact, offering defensive agreements to any peaceful species. The Zephyrians became humanity's first official allies, and their crystal technology combined with human engineering created wonders. Neither species could have built alone. June chose to stay on the mining station as Earth's first interstellar ambassador. Arya accepted an invitation to visit Earth, becoming the first Zephyrian to see oceans and forests. Standing together on the station's observation deck, watching human and Zephyrian ships patrol their shared space, June reflected on how much had changed. "Do you ever regret staying?" Hannah asked him. June smiled, watching the stars. "Never. Sometimes family finds you in the strangest places, and sometimes, if you are very lucky, they will fight the entire galaxy to keep you safe."